Commander Tae-ho Kim stood at the viewport of Orbital Defense Station Alpha, his hands clasped tightly behind his back. The stars looked peaceful from up here, but Tae-ho knew better. 17 minutes ago, long-range sensors had detected the HFY warships entering the solar system. Humanity was about to face its greatest threat. "Status report," he said, his voice steady despite the fear gripping his chest. Lieutenant Min stood at attention beside him. "Sir, the alien fleet has passed Mars orbit. They will reach Earth in approximately 43 minutes. All defense platforms are armed and ready." Tae-ho nodded. The United Earth Defense Force had prepared for this day since astronomers first detected the destruction of the colony on Europa 3 weeks ago. They had watched helplessly as the wreck methodically destroyed every human outpost in the outer solar system. "And evacuation efforts?" Tae-ho asked. "Proceeding as ordered, sir. Civilian shelters are at 78% capacity." Tae-ho turned away from the viewport. The station's command center buzzed with controlled activity as officers prepared for battle. On the main screen, red dots representing HFY warships moved steadily toward the blue sphere of Earth. "Open a channel to General Han," Tae-ho ordered. The weathered face of General Han appeared on screen. He commanded Earth's ground forces from his headquarters beneath Seoul. "Commander Kim, I was about to contact you," the general said. "Our intelligence just decoded part of a HFY transmission. They call themselves Hell's Vanguard. They believe their conquest is some kind of divine mission." Tae-ho felt a chill run down his spine. Religious zealots with space-faring technology. Not a good combination. "No, it is not," General Han agreed. "Have you seen the footage from Europa?" Tae-ho had. The grainy security videos showed 8-foot-tall creatures with hard exoskeletons and razor-sharp claws tearing through reinforced doors as if they were paper. The colonists' weapons barely slowed them down. "We will hold them off as long as possible, General," Tae-ho said. "But you should prepare for the worst." General Han's expression remained stoic. "Colonel Jiwoo Park has our best tactical unit ready. If anyone can find a weakness in these monsters, it's him." He paused. "What about Project Prometheus? Has Dr. Lee made any progress?" Tae-ho lowered his voice. "She says she needs more time." "Time is the one thing we don't have," General Han said grimly. "Tell her that whatever ethical concerns the leadership had about her research are no longer relevant. Full authorization has been granted." The communication ended, and Tae-ho immediately opened a secure channel to the underground laboratory beneath Seoul. Dr. Hana Lee's face appeared on the small screen. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep, her lab coat wrinkled from days of continuous wear. "Dr. Lee, you have full authorization to proceed with Project Prometheus," Tae-ho said without preamble. Hana's eyes widened. "They approved it? Even the quantum resonance tests?" "Everything," Tae-ho confirmed. "The wreck will reach Earth in less than an hour. We need whatever advantage we can get." Hana ran a hand through her disheveled hair. "I understand. We'll begin." Immediately, she turned to someone off-screen. "Jin-ho, prepare the chamber. We're going forward with the full sequence." Tae-ho could see the weight of responsibility in Hana's eyes. "Do you think it will work?" he asked quietly. "Theoretically, yes," she replied. "But tapping into the dark between dimensions has never been attempted at this scale. The energy readings we've recorded in our small tests are concerning." "More concerning than extinction?" Tae-ho asked. Hana's expression hardened. "No, nothing is more concerning than that." She leaned closer to the screen. "If they brought hell to our doorstep, Commander, then we'll show them something worse." The connection ended, and Tae-ho returned his attention to the command center. Alarms began to blare as the first wave of HFY fighters entered Earth's upper atmosphere. "All defense platforms open fire," he ordered. The space around Earth lit up as orbital cannons fired at the incoming ships. Some of the smaller HFY vessels exploded, but the larger warships absorbed the impacts with minimal damage. They returned fire, and Defense Station Beta erupted in a ball of flame. "Evasive maneuvers," Tae-ho shouted as a wreck destroyer targeted their station. The massive structure groaned as thrusters pushed it out of the direct line of fire. The enemy blast grazed their outer hull, sending tremors through the station. "Damage report," Tejo demanded. "Hull breach on levels 3 through 5, an officer reported. "Emergency bulkheads holding. We've lost 20% of our weapon systems." On the screens, Tejo watched as wreck landing ships punched through Earth's atmosphere, heading for major population centers. The orbital defense network was falling apart faster than their worst-case scenarios had predicted. "Sir?" Lieutenant Min said, her voice shaking slightly. "Central Command is gone, direct hit." Tejo closed his eyes briefly. Central Command had been located in what was once the United Nations building in New York. Thousands of military personnel and civilian administrators had just died. "Who's the highest-ranking officer still in contact?" he asked. "You are, sir." The weight of command settled onto Tejo's shoulders. He straightened his back and looked at the frightened faces around him. "Send word to all remaining forces. We fall back to defensive position Omega. All efforts now focus on protecting the civilian shelters and the research facilities in Seoul." He turned to communications. "Get me Colonel Ji-woo Park." Colonel Park's face appeared on screen. He was in a transport helicopter, the sounds of battle audible in the background. "Commander Kim," Ji-woo greeted him. "I've seen their ground forces. They're as bad as the footage suggested. Conventional weapons slow them down, but it takes concentrated fire to drop even one of them. I need you to establish a defensive line around Seoul," Tejo ordered. "Buy Dr. Lee as much time as possible." Ji-woo nodded. "My unit will hold until the last man if necessary. Park out." As the first explosions lit up the Earth's surface below, Tejo thought of the billions of people counting on them. He thought of Dr. Hana Lee in her laboratory, racing against time to unlock powers humans were never meant to control. "If we survive this," he said quietly to himself, "nothing will ever be the same." In her underground laboratory, Hana and her assistant Jin-ho prepared the quantum resonance chamber. The massive device hummed with energy as they made final adjustments. "You sure about this?" Jin-ho asked, his hands trembling slightly as he calibrated the controls. Hana looked up at the ceiling, where distant explosions could be felt even through layers of reinforced concrete. "No," she admitted. "But I'm sure about what happens if we do nothing." She activated the primary sequence. The chamber filled with swirling dark energy, beautiful and terrifying at once. As readings began to climb beyond predicted levels, Hana thought about the nature of humanity, how when pushed to the edge of extinction there was nothing they wouldn't do to survive. "If they think we're helpless prey," she whispered as the dark energy pulsed, "they're about to learn how wrong they are. Above, hell rained down on Earth. Below, humanity prepared to unleash something far worse. 3 months passed since the wreck invasion began. Earth lay in ruins. Major cities around the world had been destroyed or turned into processing centers where the aliens gathered humans for resources and slave labor. The skies, once blue, now had a permanent reddish tint from the dust and smoke of endless battles. Commander Tejo Kim no longer commanded orbital forces. The defense stations had fallen within the first week. Now he led a resistance cell operating out of the mountains near what was once Busan. His uniform was tattered, his face lined with new scars and old grief. "Report," he said as his scout, Sung-min, returned to their hidden base. "The wreck have expanded the Seoul Processing Center," Sung-min said, his voice low with exhaustion. "They've doubled the number of guard towers and added some kind of new scanning technology at the perimeter." Tejo studied the rough map spread out on the table. Their last 3 attempts to rescue people from the processing centers had failed. Each time they lost good fighters and saved no one. "Any word from Colonel Ji-woo?" he asked. Sung-min shook his head. "Nothing for 2 weeks. The last message said they were moving deeper into the old subway tunnels beneath Seoul. The wreck were getting close to their position." Tejo rubbed his tired eyes. Ji-woo's forces represented the last organized military unit on the Korean peninsula. If they had fallen, the resistance would be reduced to scattered guerrilla cells like his own. "And Dr. Lee?" "Still alive according to our last intelligence." The wreck don't seem to know about the laboratory beneath the old university. They've destroyed everything above ground, but the underground facilities remain untouched. A small spark of hope ignited in Taiho's chest. If Hana was still working, there might be a chance. We need to get a message to her, he said. I need to know if Project Prometheus has made any progress. Before Sungmin could respond, the lookout at the cave entrance gave a soft whistle, the signal for approaching friendlies. Everyone reached for their weapons anyway. Trust was a luxury they could no longer afford. 3 figures entered the cave, supporting a 4th between them. Taeho recognized Jiwoo's second-in-command, Captain Yoonji. Captain, Taeho said, rushing forward to help. What happened? Where is Colonel Jiwoo? Captured, Yoonji said, her voice ragged. We were trying to reach Dr. Lee's lab when the Freck ambushed us. The colonel ordered us to split up. He drew them away from us. Her eyes were hollow with guilt. He sacrificed himself so we could deliver this. She handed Taeho a small data drive. Dr. Lee sent this out with one of her assistants 2 days ago. The assistant found us instead, said it was critical that you see it. Taeho inserted the drive into their salvaged computer. The screen flickered to life, showing Hana's face. She looked different, thinner, with dark circles under her eyes, but there was a new intensity in her gaze that hadn't been there before. Commander Kim, her recorded message began. Project Prometheus has achieved breakthrough. The quantum resonance technology works. We've successfully tapped into what I've been calling the dark between, a dimension of pure energy that exists parallel to our own. Images flashed on the screen, readings, charts, and footage of a chamber filled with swirling dark energy. This isn't just a weapon, Commander. It's a doorway. The energy can be bonded with human tissue, enhancing strength, speed, and sensory perception beyond anything we thought possible. More importantly, it makes humans resistant to wreck weapons. Taeho leaned closer to the screen, hardly daring to believe what he was hearing. We've had 1 successful test subject. Hana continued. A former Special Forces operative named Hyunwoo volunteered. The results are, you need to see for yourself. I need you to come to the lab. Bring anyone you trust completely. This changes everything, Commander, but I need to warn you, the process is not without risks. The dark energy changes people in ways we don't fully understand yet. The message ended. Taeho looked up at the expectant faces around him. We leave for Seoul in 1 hour, he said. Small team, only volunteers. 12 hours later, after avoiding wreck patrols and navigating the ruined city, Taeho and 5 others reached the hidden entrance to Hana's laboratory. The university above had been reduced to rubble, but the reinforced doors hidden beneath. The old library remained intact. Jinho, Hana's assistant, met them at the entrance. He looked nervous as he led them through dimly lit corridors. Dr. Lee is in the main lab, he said. She's been expecting you. She'll explain everything. He hesitated. Just try not to show fear when you see Hyunwoo. He's sensitive about how he looks now. The main laboratory was a vast chamber filled with humming equipment. Hana stood next to a large containment area, making notes on a tablet. She looked up as they entered. Commander Kim, she said, a tired smile crossing her face. You made it. Your message said you had a breakthrough, Taeho said, looking around. Where is the test subject? Hana turned toward the containment area. Hyunwoo, our guests have arrived. A figure stepped out of the shadows and Taeho had to fight the urge to step back. The man before him looked both human and not. His skin had a metallic sheen, as if metal and flesh had somehow merged. His eyes glowed with an inner light that shifted colors from blue to purple. When he moved, it was with a fluid grace that seemed impossible for a human body. Hello, Commander, Hyunwoo said, his voice carrying a strange resonance. Dr. Lee told me you would come. What happened to you? Taeho asked, unable to hide his shock. I volunteered to be the first, Hyunwoo said simply. After the wreck killed my family, I had nothing left to lose. He held up his hand and dark energy swirled around it like liquid shadow. Now I have the power to fight back. Hana stepped forward. The dark energy bonds with human DNA, restructuring it at a quantum level. It enhances everything. Strength, speed, Healing. Hyunwoo can lift over 2 tons. His skin can deflect Reki weapons. He can see in complete darkness. And the risks? Taeho asked, remembering her warning. Hana's expression grew serious. The process is painful, and not everyone will survive it. And there are psychological effects. The energy changes brain chemistry. Emotions become more intense. Some test animals became violent, unpredictable. I'm still me, Hyunwoo insisted. Different, but still human where it counts. He looked at his transformed hands. I can feel the energy all the time like a storm inside me, but I can control it. Taeho looked between them. You want to create more like him, an army. It's our only chance, Hana said quietly. Conventional weapons barely slow the wreck down, but Hyunwoo could tear through their armor with his bare hands. What have you done to me? Hyunwoo asked, staring at his reflection in a metal panel. Given humanity a fighting chance, Hana replied. The question is, are you willing to be the first of many? Hyunwoo turned to face Taeho and the others. I am. The process is painful, but the alternative is extinction. Who among you is willing to become something more? Who is willing to become humanity's vengeance? Captain Yoonji stepped forward, without hesitation. For Colonel Jiwoo and all the others we've lost, I volunteer. One by one, the others joined her. Taeho looked at these brave souls, then at the transformed Hyunwoo, and finally at Hana. If we do this, he said, we cross a line. We'll never be the same. Hana's eyes held a mixture of determination and regret. They brought hell to earth, Commander. Now we'll show them something worse. Taeho nodded slowly. Begin the process, and include me as well. As they prepared for the transformation, Taeho wondered what they would become. Not just these volunteers, but humanity itself. To fight monsters, they were becoming something other than human. The question that haunted him was, what would remain of their humanity when the war was finally over? 6 months after the Vrek invasion began, Supreme Commander Zalveth stood on the bridge of his flagship orbiting Earth. His armored exoskeleton gleamed under the ship's lights as he reviewed the latest reports. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Explain. This, he demanded, his voice a deep rumble that made the lesser Rek officers flinch. The intelligence officer lowered his head in submission. Supreme Commander, 3 more outposts have gone silent. The Tokyo Processing Center was completely destroyed 2 days ago. We lost 4,000 warriors. Zalveth's claws clicked against the metal console. Show me the footage. The main screen activated, showing grainy security recordings from the Tokyo facility. At first, everything seemed normal. Vrek guards patrolling, human captives shuffling between work areas. Then the lights flickered. The footage showed shadows moving too fast to track clearly. Vrek warriors fired their weapons, but the shadows dodged with impossible speed. Then the first warrior fell, his chest plate torn open by what looked like bare human hands. More shadows swept through the facility, moving faster than the camera could capture clearly. Freeze image, Zalveth ordered. The screen stopped on a single frame, a human figure standing over a fallen Rek warrior. But this was no ordinary human. Its skin had a metallic sheen, and its eyes glowed with unnatural light. What is this? Zalveth demanded. We don't know, Supreme Commander, the intelligence officer admitted. They appear to be humans, but changed somehow. Our weapons barely harm them. They can tear through our armor with their bare hands. Zalveth stared at the image, unease spreading through him. The Rek had conquered 17 star systems before Earth. None had offered significant resistance after the initial invasion. Humans were supposed to be weak, primitive. Not this. Find out what they've done to themselves, he ordered, and increase security at all remaining facilities. On the other side of the world, in what was once New York City, Colonel Jiwoo Park led 50 harbingers, the name given to the transformed humans, through the ruins of Manhattan. His skin, like that of all harbingers, had the same metallic sheen, and his eyes glowed with dark energy. The transformation had healed his old wounds and made him stronger than he had ever been. "The processing center is 2 kilometers ahead," he said to the others. "Remember the plan. Team 1 creates a diversion at the main entrance. Team 2 secures the human captives. Team 3 targets their communication hub. No Vrek messages get out." Captain Yunji, now his second-in-command among the Harbingers, nodded. "And their commander?" "Leave him to me," Jiwoo said. The Rec Processing Center had once been Central Park. Now it was surrounded by high walls and guard towers. Thousands of humans were held inside, forced to work processing Earth's resources for shipment to the Rec homeworld. Jiwoo raised his hand, dark energy swirling around his fingers, and gave the signal to attack. Team 1, led by Commander Tai-ho, struck the main gate with devastating force. The Harbingers moved like living shadows, their bodies enhanced by the dark energy. Vrek weapons fired, filling the air with energy bolts, but the Harbingers were too fast, dodging or absorbing the impacts with minimal damage. Tai-ho himself tore the main gate from its hinges and hurled it at a guard tower. The structure collapsed in a shower of metal and stone. Alarms blared across the facility. Inside the command center, Vrek Sub-Commander Grell watched in growing horror as the security feeds showed his forces being overwhelmed. "Send the elite guards," he ordered, "and prepare my shuttle for immediate departure." Before his subordinates could respond, the door to the command center exploded inward. Jiwoo stepped through the smoke, dark energy crackling around his body. "Going somewhere?" he asked, his voice carrying the same resonance that all Harbingers developed after the transformation. The Vrek commander drew his ceremonial blade. "What are you?" he demanded. "I am what you made us become," Jiwoo answered, advancing slowly. "You brought hell to our world. Now we're bringing something worse to yours." Across the processing center, the battle turned into a slaughter. The Vrek had no defense against the enhanced humans. Yunji's team broke open the holding pens, freeing thousands of captives who stared in wonder and fear at their transformed rescuers. "It's okay," she told them, trying to sound gentle despite the resonance in her voice. "We're still human. We're here to save you." An old man stepped forward, looking at her glowing eyes. "What happened to you?" "We evolved," she said simply, "to survive." Meanwhile, Hyunwoo led the third team to the communication hub. As the most experienced Harbinger, he moved with grace and precision that the newer converts were still developing. He tore through the wreck defenders with terrifying efficiency. Inside the hub, he placed explosive charges on the main equipment. As he worked, he heard the voices again, whispers from the dark between growing stronger each day. They told him secrets about the universe, about powers beyond what even Dr. Lee understood. "Not now," he muttered, pushing the voices away. But it was getting harder to ignore them. Within an hour, the entire processing center was under human control. The surviving Vrek had retreated or been killed. Jiwoo stood in the command center, Sub-Commander Grell's broken body at his feet. He accessed the Vrek communication system and sent a message to all Vrek forces on Earth. "This is Colonel Jiwoo Park of the Human Resistance. Tokyo has fallen. New York has fallen. We are coming for every processing center, every Vrek outpost. There is nowhere on Earth you can hide from us." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Leave our world now or be destroyed." Back on his flagship, Zalveth received the message with cold fury. These humans had somehow found a way to fight back. But they were still just one primitive species on one small planet. He opened a channel to all Vrek forces. "This is Supreme. Commander Zalveth, deploy the orbital bombardment platforms. If we cannot have this world, neither will they." But before the order could be carried out, alarms blared across his ship. The tactical officer turned with panic in his eyes. "Supreme Commander, 6 human vessels approaching at high speed. They're not in our database. The design is... It appears to be modified Vrek technology." Zalveth rushed to the viewport in time to see sleek black ships approaching. They were clearly built from salvaged Vrek technology, but modified in ways he didn't understand. Dark energy crackled around their hulls. On the lead ship, Hyunwoo sat in the command chair. Dr. Lee had used his connection to the dark energy to help design these ships. The voices had guided him, showing him how to merge wreck technology with the power of the dark between. All ships prepare to engage, he ordered. Target their command vessel first. As the battle for Earth's orbit began, Hyunwoo felt the voices growing stronger. They whispered that this was just the beginning. Why stop with driving the wreck from Earth? Why not pursue them to their homeworld? Why not show the entire galaxy what humanity had become? And deep in her laboratory, Dr. Lee reviewed the latest data on the Harbingers with growing concern. The dark energy was changing them faster than expected. Their powers were increasing, but so was the influence of the voices from the dark between. Even Tai-Ho, the most stable of them, had reported hearing them now. What have I created? She whispered to herself as she watched the orbital battle through a salvaged wreck monitoring system. Humanity was winning the war against the wreck, but at what cost? What would these new humans become when the fighting was over? The answer, she feared, was something that even the wreck would learn to fear. 9 months after the Freck invasion, humanity had reclaimed most of Earth. The processing centers were empty. The skies were clear of wreck ships. For the first time since the aliens arrived, people began to rebuild. Dr. Hana Lee stood in her expanded laboratory, now moved from the underground bunker to a tower in the rebuilt Seoul. Large windows looked out over the city, where new buildings rose alongside the ruins of the old. Workers moved through the streets, some normal humans and some with the metallic skin of harbingers. Hana turned away from the window and faced the large screens displaying her latest research. The data troubled her deeply. Jin-Ho entered the lab carrying a tablet. The latest test results from the Harbinger volunteers, he said, handing it to her. Hana reviewed the information, her frown deepening. The changes are accelerating, she said. The dark energy is rewriting their DNA faster than we predicted. Is that dangerous? Jin-Ho asked. I don't know, Hana admitted. But that's not the only concern. She pulled up brain scan images. These are from Commander Taeho's latest checkup. His brain activity has changed. Areas that shouldn't be active are lighting up, especially when he reports hearing the voices. Jin-Ho looked worried. How many of them hear the voices now? All of them, Hana said quietly. Even the newest converts. Whatever exists in the dark between is trying to communicate with them, and some are starting to listen. The door to the laboratory slid open and Commander Taeho entered. Even after months as a harbinger, Hana still found it strange to see her old friend with metallic skin and glowing eyes. He moved with the fluid grace all harbingers developed, as if gravity affected him differently. Dr. Lee, he said, his voice carrying that strange resonance. We need to talk. Hana nodded to Jin-Ho, who quickly left them alone. What's wrong, Taeho? It's Hyunwoo, he said. He's changed. He's not following orders anymore. And he's convinced some of the others to join him. Join him in what? Hana asked, though she feared she already knew the answer. He wants to take the fight to the wreck homeworld, Taeho said. He says the voices have shown him the way. That humanity should not just defend Earth, but conquer the stars. Hana closed her eyes briefly. This was what she had feared. How many agree with him? Too many, Taeho admitted. The voices, they're getting harder to ignore. They promise knowledge, power. They show us things about the universe that no human has ever known. And you? Hana asked, studying his face. What do you think? Taeho looked away. I still believe in protecting Earth, but sometimes I wonder, what's the point of all this power if we just go back to our normal lives? We're not normal anymore, Hana. We can never be normal again. On the other side of the city, in what had once been a wreck command center, Hyunwoo stood before a gathering of harbingers. Nearly 300 had assembled, all with the same metallic skin and glowing eyes. Some were early converts like himself. Others were newer, transformed after the tide of war had turned. The voices have shown me the truth, he told them, dark energy swirling around his body. We are not just saviors of Earth. We are the next step in human evolution. Why should we hide what we've become? Why should we pretend we're still like them? He gestured to a screen showing ordinary humans rebuilding the city. The Wreck are regrouping at their homeworld, he continued. They're planning to return with an even larger force. The voices have shown me this. We can wait for them to come back, or we can take the fight to them. Colonel Jiwoo stood at the back of the room, watching with concern. Once, he and Hyunwoo had fought side by side. Now he hardly recognized the man who had been the first harbinger. Hyunwoo's skin had a darker metallic tone than the others, and his eyes shifted through more colors. When he spoke of the voices, they glowed almost white. And what happens after we defeat the Wreck? Jiwoo asked, stepping forward. Do we conquer their worlds too? Do we become the very thing we fought against? Hyunwoo smiled, but there was something cold in it. We become what we were meant to be, Colonel. The voices have shown me civilizations across the galaxy that would fear what we've become. Some have technologies we could use. Others have tried to harness the dark between and failed. You're talking about conquest, Jiwoo said, not defense. I'm talking about survival, Hyunwoo replied. Evolution. The strong survive, the weak perish. That is the law of the universe. Many of the gathered harbingers nodded in agreement. Jiwoo looked around, realizing with a chill that this was no longer just a discussion. It was the beginning of a split among the harbingers. A potential civil war. Later that evening, Commander Taeho called an emergency meeting with Dr. Lee and Colonel Jiwoo. They gathered in a secure room in the Seoul Command Center. Hyunwoo has begun preparations to leave Earth, Jiwoo reported. He's converted 4 of our ships to long-range vessels. Nearly 200 harbingers support him. We can't let them go, Hana said. The dark energy is changing them too quickly. Hyunwoo is barely human anymore in how he thinks. If he reaches the Wreck homeworld, or worse, encounters other civilizations, it could start an interstellar war, Taeho finished, with Earth caught in the middle. Can we stop them? Jiwoo asked. In a direct confrontation, I'm not sure we would win. Hyunwoo was the first. He's had the longest to develop his abilities, and some of our best fighters support him. Hana pulled up data on her tablet. I've been working on a way to neutralize the dark energy if necessary. A pulse that could temporarily disrupt the quantum bonds between the energy and human DNA. It would weaken any harbinger caught in its radius. Would it hurt them? Taeho asked. It would be extremely painful, Hana admitted. And I don't know if there would be permanent effects. This was always meant as a last resort. Taeho closed his eyes. We're winning the war against the Wreck, he said, but I fear we're losing ourselves in the process. In orbit above Earth, Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the blue planet below. The voices were clearer here, away from the electromagnetic noise of the rebuilt cities. They spoke of distant worlds, of powers beyond human comprehension, of his destiny. Are we ready? He asked his second-in-command, a former physicist named Sunmi, who had been among the first to support his vision. Final preparations are complete, she confirmed. The 4 ships can sustain us for the journey to the Wreck homeworld. The coordinates you provided from the voices match what we extracted from the Wreck databases. Hyunwoo nodded. And the new weapons? Installed and tested. The dark energy enhancers work as you designed them. He smiled, feeling the power coursing through him. The voices had shown him how to weaponize the dark energy on a scale Hana had never imagined. His ships now carried weapons that could tear apart matter at the quantum level. Then we depart in 6 hours, he said. A new chapter for humanity begins today. Those who embrace evolution will thrive. Those who resist it. He left the sentence unfinished, but the dark energy around him pulsed with ominous intent. Below, Earth continued to rebuild, unaware that a new threat was emerging. Not from the stars this time, but from within. 1 year after the Wreck invasion, Earth was a different world. Cities were being rebuilt. Green plants grew over the scars of war. The skies were clear and blue again. But humanity itself had changed forever. In the rebuilt United Nations building, in Geneva, representatives from around the world gathered. Some were normal humans in formal clothes, Others had the metallic skin and glowing eyes of harbingers. They sat together but not comfortably, with tension visible in their postures. Commander Tae-ho Kim stood at the podium, his own metallic skin gleaming under the lights. As the leader of the forces that had driven the wreck from Earth, he had become a symbol of human resistance and victory. 1 year ago, the Freck brought war to our world, he began, his voice carrying that strange resonance all harbingers shared. They thought they brought hell. They thought we would submit or die. Instead, we evolved. We fought back. We won. The audience applauded, though some did so with obvious reservation. But our victory came with a cost, Tae-ho continued. The dark energy that gave us the power to defeat the wreck has changed us. We are no longer fully human as we once were, and now we face a new challenge. He brought up images on the large screen behind him. They showed Hyunwoo's ships moving through space, captured by Earth's new defense network. 3 months ago, Hyunwoo and his followers left Earth to pursue the retreating wreck forces. Against our advice, they took the war to the wreck homeworld. 2 days ago, we received this transmission. The screen changed to show Hyunwoo. His appearance had changed, even more. His skin was darker, almost black with a metallic sheen. His eyes glowed pure white. Behind him stood other harbingers who had similar changes. People of Earth, Hyunwoo's recorded message began. The wreck homeworld has fallen. Their entire defense fleet is destroyed. Their leadership has surrendered to us. The war is truly over. A cheer went up from some in the audience, but Tae-ho raised his hand for silence. There is more, he said grimly. The recording continued. But this is just the beginning, Hyunwoo said. The voices from the dark between have shown me the truth. There are 13 other spacefaring races in our region of the galaxy. Some are peaceful, others are not. All of them have technologies and resources we can use. All of them would fear what we have become if they knew. Hyunwoo's face grew larger on the screen. We should strike first. Humanity deserves to rule the stars. Those of us who have embraced the gift of the dark energy are the true future of our species. We will return to Earth soon. Those who wish to join us in the next phase of human evolution will be welcome. Those who resist will be left behind. The recording ended. A heavy silence fell over the assembly. This is why we have gathered today, Tae-ho said, to decide how humanity responds to this new threat. Not from aliens this time, but from ourselves. In the front row, Dr. Han-Ah Lee sat beside Colonel Ji-woo Park. Both looked tired from sleepless nights working on solutions. Commander Kim has been diplomatic, Ji-woo said, standing to address the assembly. I will be more direct. Hyunwoo is no longer human in any meaningful way. The dark energy has changed him and his followers too much. If they return to Earth with the intent to force others to join them, or to use Earth as a base for attacking other worlds, we must be prepared to stop them. And how do you propose we do that? Asked a representative from Europe. You just showed us how powerful they have become. They destroyed the entire wreck civilization. How can we hope to stand against them? Hana stood, clutching her tablet. I have developed a way to neutralize the dark energy, she said. A pulse that disrupts the quantum bonds between the energy and human DNA. It would not kill the harbingers, but it would temporarily remove their powers. Temporarily? Someone asked. The dark energy has integrated too deeply with their cells. Hana explained. It would return eventually, but it would give us a chance to reason with them, to help them. Or to contain them, another representative said darkly. Tae-ho raised his hand. We were all human once, even Hyunwoo. We must remember that. Our goal should be to help them, not punish them. Outside the meeting, on the streets of cities around the world, ordinary humans watched the discussion on screens. Some looked at the harbingers among them with new fear. Others remembered how those same harbingers had saved them from the wreck. In orbit above Earth, new defense platforms were being constructed, designed by Ha-Na to generate the neutralizing pulse if necessary. Harbingers who had remained loyal to Tae-ho and Ji-woo helped build them, even knowing the weapons could be used against them. 2 weeks later, the sensors detected Hyunwoo's fleet approaching Earth. 4 ships had left, 12 returned, Clearly, enhanced with technologies taken from the wrecked at Taiho, Hana and Jiwoo gathered in the orbital command center, watching the approaching ships with growing concern. "They're not responding to communication attempts," Jiwoo reported. "The ships are different," Hana noted, studying the scans. "The dark energy signatures are much stronger, and there are strange readings I don't recognize. Vrek technology, merged with the dark energy," Taeho guessed. Hyunwoo was always creative. As the ships entered Earth orbit, they finally received a transmission. Hyunwoo's face appeared on the screen, even more changed than before. "Hello, old friends," he said, his voice barely recognizable. "We have returned as promised, and we bring gifts from the stars." "Hyunwoo," Taeho said carefully, "we need to talk before you do anything. Things have changed here too." "Yes, I can see your new defense platforms," Hyunwoo said with a smile that didn't reach his glowing eyes. "Hana's work, I assume. Always the cautious one. But there's no need for caution anymore. The voices have shown me a better way." "The voices are changing you," Hana said. "Changing how you think. You're losing yourself, Hyunwoo." "No," he replied. "I'm finding myself, becoming more than human, as all of us can." "At what cost?" Jiwoo asked. "Would you force this change on everyone, even those who don't want it?" Hyunwoo was silent for a moment. "The voices speak of destiny, of evolution, but they also speak of choice." He seemed to struggle internally. "I remember being human once. I remember fighting to save humanity, not to change it against its will." Hana leaned forward. "Then remember that now. Help us find a balance. Help us understand the dark energy without being controlled by it." For a long moment, Hyunwoo said nothing. The others held their breath, knowing that orbital weapons were locked on both sides, that a single wrong word could start a war worse than the one with the wreck. Finally, Hyunwoo nodded slowly. "I will meet with you. Just the three of you. We have much to discuss about the future." As the transmission ended, Taeho looked at his friends. "This is just the beginning, isn't it? Of something larger than the war. Larger than Earth." "Yes," Hana said quietly. "Everything has changed. Humanity now stands at a crossroads. What we decide here will shape not just our future, but the future of the galaxy." Jiwoo looked out at the stars beyond the viewport. "The wreck believed they were bringing hell to Earth," he said. "Instead, they awakened something that will reshape the cosmos. For better or worse, humanity has become something new. Something that will never be the same again." As night fell on the new Earth, countless eyes looked up at the stars with new understanding. The universe was vast and full of both wonders and dangers. Humanity had survived its first contact with an alien civilization. But the true test was just beginning, learning to survive the changes within themselves. The end.